Hello, hello, everyone. Um, Please type in the chat if you can hear me. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Anyone? Good evening, good evening. If you've just joined, please type something in the chat so I know you can hear me. Thank you. So that's you can hear me in the Q and the chat is disabled. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. How do I enable it now? I think we're okay. We're gonna have to use so you can type in Q&A. Thank you so much, guys. John, SK, thank you so much. If you need to ask me something, please type it in Q&A because for some reason chat is not enabled, and I would have to put it to enable it in settings. And let's see if I can show chat previews. Um, anyway, if you need to type something, put it in Q&A, and I will be sure to address your questions as we go. So we're going to start in 1 minute. While we're waiting for the few other people that are joining, do you mind putting in the Q&A where it says Q&A, please put what industry you're currently working in. That's just going to help me as I speak through this today to give examples that you can use in your real life. So if you're thinking about transitioning into cybersecurity from construction, put construction. If you're coming from retail, say retail, just give me an idea of what industry you're coming from. If you want to put that in the chat, that would be great. If not, that's fine. I will still just use whatever. Fintech, okay, good. That's perfect. I am going to use some of those examples anyway, because it's a really easy move. You've got a lot of transferable skills there. Finance definitely got some great transferable skills there to get into cybersecurity. Okay, I am going to get started. Thank you so much to the people that are helping me out by responding to me. What I am going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Let's do it this way. I need to move this to this screen. Okay. So, thank you so much to everyone that is actually helping me out by responding to me in the Q&A. Last time I'm saying this, I promise if you want to, no, not I promise. If you want to say something to me, share it with me in Q&A. The chat is not enabled. What I want to do is do this. I want to make sure the volume is enabled so that you can hear any videos that I play for you. So that should do it. Once I start a video, I'm going to need you guys to tell me if you can hear it. So you should be able to hear it, no problem. So let's go in. My name is Kimberly Simon. Welcome to this workshop on how to find your place in cybersecurity without starting over. This is an exciting workshop. If you are trying to transition into cybersecurity from another field, we're going to be talking about some non-technical and semi-technical roles that you can get into. I'm excited to get into all of that. But before I start, I want you to understand who I am. So let me just play a quick video, just introduces me so that I don't really have to go into it until a little bit into the webinar. So this is just 1 minute.
My name is Kimberly Simon. I am a cybersecurity author, keynote speaker, and strategic advisor for organizations looking to design, implement, or strengthen their IT and cybersecurity programs. everybody that checked, please contact me after. I will arrange cybersecurity awareness training for you. Why are we surprised of the growing threats and that people look to us to guide them on what they should do? People look to us to protect their information. So there is a growing battle between efficiency and security, and it will only continue to grow. Only continue to grow. I'm here to guide organizations through planning and executing on IT and cybersecurity strategies that not only protect, but also fuel growth. It is my hypothesis that organizations that embrace a culture of security are the ones best positioned to thrive and sustain themselves in today's economy.
So, welcome to this workshop. Before we get started, I want to talk about the job market. So, if you are living in today, you know that a lot of things have changed. If you've just joined us, please type in the Q&A part, not the chat. The chat is disabled. Please type in Q&A if you need to talk to me about anything. Okay. So, across industries, we're seeing a lot of layoffs. I think, a lot of us are seeing layoffs. We're seeing people moving across because of tech, because of AI. There's a lot of uncertainty within the job market today, and there are fewer roles than anything. But one thing that we are seeing is that cybersecurity is different. So, where a lot of industries are letting people go, we're finding that the more companies use technology, the more we use AI, the more they worry about risk, what they're exposing themselves to, the more we have to protect information. So that's what we're going to be talking about here today. We're going to be talking about cybersecurity. So why does this moment matter? Most people respond to uncertainty by waiting it out. Don't do that. They take random courses. So a lot of you may already be thinking, okay, I'm taking this course, and I'm going to get into cybersecurity that way. Or they're just applying endlessly to any and every role that they can get into, and that they're hoping things get back to normal. Waiting is not going to help. Right now is about getting clarity and having a plan. So I hope that at the very least you leave here today with a plan. Transition is not failure. I want to start by telling you that. Making a career shift does not mean that you're starting over. It means that you're just redirecting your experience into a field that's actually growing. So what you want to do is get the industry experience that you already have, the expertise that you already have, and translate it into a field that's going into an industry that's growing. And that's what we're going to explore here today. Think of it this way. If you switch schools during the semester, you don't lose what you learned. You're just switching schools. But you can still refer back to everything that you learned in the other school and use it wherever you're going. And that's what we're going to try and do here today in this workshop. So why is cybersecurity different? Well, cybersecurity is not just about tech. I think whenever people hear cybersecurity, they think of this person in a hoodie that's, coding or hacking, and they're sitting in a dark room. And that's not all there is to cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is about people. It's about risk. It's about processes. It's about trust. Beyond everything that we're doing in cybersecurity, there's always data that is being protected, and that data belongs to someone. So people first. Every industry relies on digital systems. So as I said before, every industry you can think of, construction, retail, manufacturing, whatever you can think of, healthcare, nonprofits, everybody relies on some sort of digital system. And the more they rely on digital systems, the more risk they open themselves up to. And the more they need cybersecurity professionals like us. So the more tech we use, the more risk we open ourselves up to, and then the more there is need for humans. I will tell you something, cybersecurity cannot be fully automated. In cybersecurity, we need human judgment, we need human accountability, and we need human relationships. And that cannot be fully automated. So this is a great industry that you will always have a job because no matter what happens, no matter how much we use AI, no matter how much we use tech, cybersecurity is always going to, it actually always lags behind. I always say security lags behind because people build all sorts of things. They change systems, they change processes in their organization, and then they think about cybersecurity later like, oh crap, now we've opened ourselves up to so much risk. And but here's the truth, cybersecurity is not going anywhere. The more we innovate, criminals also innovate. So cybersecurity is definitely a really great future-proof career that you can get yourself into. So the biggest myth, I want to do some myth busting here. The biggest myth about cybersecurity are some of these that you must code. I've been in the industry for 18 years and I don't code. I'm not a hacker. Those people are in the industry, but that's not all there is to it. Another myth is that you need a computer science degree. I don't. My degree was in marketing and then I did my master's in business. So, and I work in the industry. So everybody thinks, oh, I have to go back and study computer science. Oh, I have to take this really technical course. Oh, I need 10 certifications. All of that is not true. People also believe that you're too old. There is no such thing. If you think of a pyramid scheme, you know how if you hear of a pyramid scheme, how if you're entering at the end or in the middle, you don't benefit. It's the people that kind of start off at the bottom. They're the ones that make the money. Cybersecurity doesn't work that way because technology is always innovating and people are always innovating, processes are always innovating. Because of that, we cybersecurity is always also changing. So you'll find that you're going to get into the industry right now and you're going to be learning the same things that I am learning right now because of AI. So we're all right now trying to figure out AI governance, how to safely adopt AI within organizations. I'm learning it. And you're going to be learning it at the same time as me, even though I've been in the industry longer. And that happens a lot because it's an ever evolving space. That's why you're never, ever too old to get into cybersecurity. It's ever evolving and you can totally get into cybersecurity. So the truth is, cybersecurity is not one job. If you think of a hospital, there's doctors, there's nurses, there's finance, HR, all of those people are needed for a hospital to function. Cybersecurity works in exactly the same way. There's loads of different roles that you can get into. I think one of the reasons I do this is people always used to ask me, hey, I want to get into cybersecurity. What should I do? And I'm thinking like there's loads of things that you could do. It's not about me telling you which one to do. It's about finding where you fit, where your experience fits, where your interest fits. And that's what I want to help you do here today. Even think of an airport. And yes, there's pilots, but then there's also loads of other departments in an airport that are just equally as important. And that's what we're going to discuss here today. But before I talk about how important or how easy it is to translate your experience, I want you to believe that it's actually possible. I want you to know that it's possible for you to take your experience from another field and bring it into cybersecurity. I'm going to play this for a minute and then I'm going to stop it. And if you're interested in watching the full thing, let me know and I'm happy to send you the link.
When you think about cybersecurity jobs, there's a wide range of technology, people, and process jobs. Right? When I look at it, one of my favorite people who've moved across is a librarian, because one of the things we have to do is manage large document stores. And so we look for people who have a skill set that can translate, and rather than thinking of it as an entry-level job, it's really an insertion-level job. Right? How do you insert yourself into a job that's about cybersecurity, but it takes skills from other disciplines as well?
Now, Kelly, you've found someone who has a set of skills that we would also think might be, in the current world, somewhat antiquated, and yet you've taken a repo man.
Yeah, so in one of my previous roles, I had a repo man who actually came over and was an amazing pen tester. And the skills are very similar. It's just
What? I'm sorry?
he was a repo man. So
And a what kind of tester?
a penetration tester.
Okay, thank you.
So a penetration tester is very similar to a repo man. It's someone that goes in and looks at a computer system. They have that security mindset. They look for different types of vulnerabilities. They look for different ways to penetrate the network and exploit it. So a repo man actually has to do that as well, just in a more analog world. Mm-hmm. This is just a digital version of that type of job.
And how long did it take for the transition to take hold?
I mean, he had computer skill sets already, so it was just a simple, migration into that, and he developed some of those penetration skills, testing skills over a matter of 6 months to a year.
Now, Joe, you may work in one of the most vulnerable sectors.
When you think
So, as I said, you can contact me and I'm happy to share that recording. So, essentially, what we're learning from that is that you have transferable skills. They used a couple of examples, like a librarian who came into cybersecurity. Why? Because we handle a lot of data. A repo man who became a penetration tester. There's loads of roles that you can get into depending on what experience you have. So you can totally do this. You can find your place and switch. It's just having a plan. So before we get into the actual meat of the workshop, please get a pen and paper while I tell you a little bit about my story. So, and I guess I hope that this explains why I care so much about helping people enter into cybersecurity. I did not start in a technical role. I entered cybersecurity now 18 years ago, in the marketing department. So I did not have a cybersecurity degree. But over time, I found my space in cybersecurity. I got into compliance, governance, and leadership. Since then, I've built a career in cybersecurity. I've worked across England, Dubai, Canada, and the United States. I've traveled the world because cybersecurity allows you to do that. I have advised organizations on building cybersecurity compliance programs. I've published 2 books, and I've helped professionals understand how cybersecurity really works. From my humble beginnings in marketing, and just being open to learn, being open to grow, and being open to network. This is what my life now looks like. I was vice president of a global cybersecurity compliance company, and then I was CEO of a private equity owned cybersecurity and IT company before I started Growth Office Partners, where now I love to get to work with like some really great minds in cybersecurity. So what I'm trying to say is, it's been a journey, and it did not start as you would think from a computer science degree, coding, hacking. I enjoy the flexibility that cybersecurity offers. I work from home. I am a regular cybersecurity partner for WRL News, ABC 11 News, the Department of Transportation, Center for Nonprofits. And I say this because I'm hoping that it's inspiring you and actually showing you what's possible, even without having a technical background. So my journey is proof that you do not need to start technical to build a real career in cybersecurity. You just need clarity, you need confidence, and you need the right pathway. And that's exactly what I'm going to help you with here today. So let's get into the meat of this. What all of this means to you is that cybersecurity doesn't require you to become someone else. You are going to continue to be who you are. And what we're going to do is now work together in this workshop to analyze the experience and the skills that you have and see how you can bring those into this field. So I'm guessing you have a pen and paper. Let's do this. So you are going to get as much out of this as you put into it. Now, if you sit there and do nothing, you're going to walk away with nothing. If you go along with us, you might actually walk away with something that you can use. I've built what's called a cybersecurity career map for you. So, and what I want you to learn here and take away is that if I can simplify cybersecurity jobs, there would be 3 core areas. The first is people who build and protect systems. That's what everybody always thinks when they hear cybersecurity. They're building things, so that's coding. They're protecting systems, they're hacking, they're, figuring out who hacked what. Those are really technical skills. And then the second core area is people who monitor and respond to threats. Now that's semi-technical, so there is, a part of technology that is needed there. And then there's where I really focused in on, that is the non-technical roles around risk management and compliance. So those are 3 core areas that we are going to be looking at. We're going to look at number 2 and number 3. So everything that we're going to look at from now is really focused on roles around monitoring and responding, managing risk and compliance. Why? Because these are quicker for you to get into. If you're wanting to transition in a quicker way, this is quicker, especially if you don't have too much technical experience. So why does the path work? Because non-technical roles are growing. Because the things that we need technology to do, like, when I first started, we needed a lot of people who could build applications. Today, I can get AI to do it. So a lot of the technical stuff that we used to need people to do in our industry, we can now get tech to build it, AI to build it. So now the non-technical roles are actually the ones that are growing, the roles around risk, the roles around governance, the roles around compliance, because no matter what, there's always going to be, rules that you need to follow. So regulations are increasing. Companies need to prove that they're compliant. It's getting harder and harder for companies to get insurance because you have to prove that you have a cybersecurity program. And yet a lot of these companies don't even know where to start. So they need people. Risk is now a business priority. Like, companies are now budgeting for this. We used to have to sell it, but now companies are being audited, they're being regulated, they're accountable. So they need people who can understand requirements. They need people who can document processes and ensure that nothing falls through the cracks. So now I want to help you look at your transferable skills. So we're going to take an inventory of what you bring to the table that could help you move into cybersecurity. So the first thing I want you to list down is what industries you have worked. So write it down, whatever industries you've worked. If you've been in retail, construction, manufacturing, whatever industry, healthcare, just write down the industries that you've worked. They're all relevant. You learned something from all of them, even if it's subconscious. So write that down. I'm so sorry that the chat is not working. If you need to write to me, please put it in the Q&A. I will keep checking Q&A. Just let me know. Okay. What have people always trusted you to do? What problems do coworkers ask you to solve? I hope you're writing this down. I'll give you an example. I used to work in the marketing department, and no matter what part of the business, what department had an issue with a third party provider, they would say, "Oh, ask Kimberly to call them. She'll get it done." I am very good at managing third party relationships. So if we have a contract with someone who's supposed to deliver something and they don't, or they're late, or I'm that person that you would be like, tell Kimberly to call them. She'll make sure that it's delivered the way it's supposed to be delivered. So if there's stuff that you're very good at and you enjoy, write that down. What meetings are you typically invited to attend? What responsibilities are you always given? All of that gives us a picture into the skills that you have. I'm looking okay, thank you, SKU, coming from the auto industry. You've worked as a business analyst. Great. Okay, you're going to love this. So what I want to basically go through now is give you a career map. As we go through these different roles in cybersecurity, I want you to think about where you could potentially fit. So what I've done is put everything into role family. So I'm going to give you a big role family, and then I'm going to give you some examples of roles that are in that role family. And then I'm going to tell you what those people do and the backgrounds that work well in those areas. And as we go through it, you can start to think, hey, where could I fit? So the first role family is my favorite, the governance, risk, and compliance. That's GRC, where I belong. The roles that are typically that we're finding easiest to get into, especially for entry level or for people who are transitioning, are governance analyst, risk analyst, compliance analyst, GRC specialist, IT auditor, or policy analyst. And what these people do, amongst other things, is that they write policies, they assess business risk, they ensure compliance, and they help with audit preparation, and they definitely recommend improvements on compliance programs. Great backgrounds that I've seen get into these type of roles are people coming from HR, finance, banking, legal, insurance, healthcare, admin, government operations. And because I know about GRC, some really good personalities around GRC are people who enjoy organization. If you enjoy organization, you enjoy documentation, you enjoy structure, and you like the idea of helping businesses reduce risk, this could be your lane. Another role family that we have is privacy and data protection. Now, the roles that these people do are like a privacy analyst, data protection specialist, privacy coordinators, regulatory compliance. And essentially, what these people are doing is that they're protecting customer data. So you wake up every day and you are doing things to help keep customer data protected. You're ensuring privacy laws are followed. You're doing assessments and you're supporting legal teams with whatever they need for their audits and documentation. Great backgrounds for this role family are people coming from healthcare, from legal, HR, government, insurance, and banking. And not to say, this is all there is. If you see yourself in one of these, that's perfectly fine. You could totally do it. Now, another one is project management and program management. And these are the project managers that you see, the cybersecurity project managers, the security program managers. And these people are coordinating these projects. So they're managing budgets, they're leading teams, they're tracking timelines. If there's an audit, they're making sure that nothing is missed. And they're essentially just removing roadblocks for a company that's trying to become secure. Great backgrounds for these are people who are coming from being project managers anyway. So if you were a project manager in another industry, this is a really easy transition for you. Or if you were a business analyst, I know, SK, you said you were a business analyst. If you're coming from that, this could be a lane for you. As well as the GRC actually could be a good lane for you. Coaches and consultants get in here very easily. Let me give you three more so that you can see where you may potentially fit. So another one is audit and vendor risk. Now, the roles that these people do are around like IT auditors. They are vendor risk analysts, third-party risk specialists. I think I would have been great at this as well. What these people do is that they assess vendors. So they're making sure that the vendors that the company works with are secure. And they're looking at what information the company shares with different vendors, if it's necessary and if it's protected. So they're reviewing contracts, they're evaluating supplier security, and they're conducting audits as well. Great backgrounds for this is accounting, procurement, finance, supply chain, risk, insurance. This could be your lane. Next, we have Security Operations Center. So that's SOC. And the roles around this are the SOC analysts, incident response, threat analysts, and all of that good stuff. And what these people are doing is monitoring alerts. So this one is one of those semi-technical roles that I talked about. So if you're monitoring alerts, you're investigating suspicious activity. So right now we use a lot of technology to monitor and then trigger when something happens. But we still need human judgment and human accountability to look at those logs. So you're responding to cyber attacks, you're helping companies figure out what to do. And people who are great with this role family are people coming from the military, people coming from law enforcement anyway, people who are coming from another part of tech, or just people who like investigations in general. You would do well in this lane. The final one we're going to look at today, so there's more, but I thought 6 is great because we don't have a lot of time, but of this 6, I'm sure there's somewhere where you see yourself fitting. The final one we're going to look at today is customer-facing cyber roles. So these are the ones you've seen, like a customer success manager, a security consultant, the sales engineer. Those people are very important because they're managing relationships, they're communicating with clients, they're selling, and we can use technology and AI all you want, but people buy from other people. People stay in contracts with other people. So relationships will never be managed by technology in the way that a human can do it. So these great backgrounds for getting into these customer facing roles are, if you're coming from sales in another industry, if you've been an account manager, you do great in this. If you've been customer success, if you've been in retail, this is where you would target. Now, I don't expect you to memorize all these roles. I want you to listen for something that sounds like you. So will you put in the Q&A? So if you click where it says Q&A and put where you see yourself potentially falling, I would love to know. Anybody see themselves in any of the roles? Are you sitting there thinking, I could be this? Can you put it in the part where it says Q&A, where you potentially see yourself? Anybody want to put stuff in the Q&A where you could potentially see yourself? You see yourself in SOC. Okay, great. So that means you like those semi-technical. Okay, you see yourself in GRC, customer success. I love customer success. Never a dull moment. Um, Audit is great if you love to travel. Audit is really good. You get to travel the world. That's a really good one. GRC, I love GRC. You can see yourself in SOC, GRC, audit. Okay. So I'm glad you're starting to see yourself in some sort of a cybersecurity role. So by the end of today's workshop, my goal is for each of you to have narrowed that down and say, hey, I see myself in this. I know how much it pays. I know how working in that role looks like. Because once you've got a destination in mind, everything becomes easier because you've got a plan. So let's move on to the next thing. Now you're thinking, okay, Kim, you've just told me potentially what job I could do. How much does it pay? How does it work? And so let's do that next. Let's figure that out. So if you saw yourself in GRC, I'm going to tell you some entry level. Not to say everybody here is going to end up at entry level. We had someone that participated in our program. She thought she was going to end up entry level, but she had so much experience managing teams. She ended up getting a job as an operations manager with cybersecurity oversight. So the cybersecurity team actually reports to her, even though she had no cybersecurity experience when she started. So don't limit yourself. These are at entry level salary ranges that obviously differ depending on your location, your work experience, your industry, and the employer. So GRC, you're looking at between $60,000 and $85,000 a year. These jobs are best for people who want to work remotely or want to work hybrid. So since 2023, many employers have shifted away from fully remote work. So a lot of them are trying to get into this hybrid arrangement now, particularly for entry-level roles. So I'm just giving you an idea. So privacy and data protection, if you chose that, that's best for people who want to work remotely and hybrid as well. You're looking at 65 to 90 as typical entry level, which is not bad for entry level. Project managers, again, 70 to 95, and you get to work remotely or hybrid. Audit, oh, there's a lot of travel if you're working for an audit firm. I worked for one. So our auditors were always on the road and they loved it. So again, they could work from home most of the time. And typical entry level is 65 to 90. SOC, now this is where remember we talked about the semi-technical. Most SOC analysts are on site. If you love teamwork, if you like, being around other people and, going to the office every day and having that separate home and work, this is great for you. So typically people who are working in security operations are on site. Identity and access management, again, if you like working with a team and going into the office, that's one that you should look into. And then finally, customer facing roles like sales and all of that, you can work remotely. I'll tell you something. So we have a program that we run. I'll tell you about it later. We have a program that we run, and I always find it in most cases, I find that most men who have big families like the idea of going to the office because they want to sit, working from home, there's the kids, it's just too much. So they always say, hey, Kim, I'm looking for something where I can go to the office. But then I find that people who don't have big families or are not married or they are mostly women prefer always the remote jobs. So as you think about what you want to do, always think about how you want to work. Remember, you have to wake up and do this every day. So you may as well pick something that really works for the type of life you want to live. So if you want to work remotely, if you want to go into the office, think about that as well as you're thinking of which jobs should I be getting into. If your goal is flexible in remote careers, then look at GRC, privacy, vendor risk. But then if you're wanting to go into the office and work with a team, look at identity and access management and SOC. And then finally, one thing I want to tell you is what happens after 18 to 24 months. Growth in cybersecurity is very realistic. It's fast. So if you are, so I've told you about entry level. So now you got your foot in the door and you've been with a company for a year. or 18 months. You can start to apply for mid-level roles. You can start to apply for senior level roles, just depending on how much work you put in. So now when you look at your salary 18 months in, you can now start applying for jobs around 120 as a minimum, all the way up to 220, 250. So growth in this field is very realistic. So today I want to help you do a couple of things. So we've talked about the role families, we've talked about the different types of roles, and you've hopefully chosen a role. Right now, each one of you knows a job that you could potentially do in cybersecurity. So each of you already has one. I'm assuming you know how much it pays, you know how it works, whether you're working from home, whether you're going to the office. So you already have some information right now. But now I want to help you learn how to translate your experience and introduce yourself as someone who is qualified for that job, whatever job you just chose. So what we do in our program is we use what's called the SEAT methods. So the SEAT method is basically, it talks about the S is for skills. So what strengths do you bring? What strengths do you bring to a cybersecurity team? So things like problem solving, communication, all of that good stuff. E is for education and experience. So we want to talk about the relevant education and experience that qualify you for whatever job you just chose. So everything that we're doing now, and I hope you're writing it down because you can use it and you can refine it later. So whatever job you've just chosen, we're now going to identify some education and experience that you can now translate to make you access that job. And then A is for achievements. So we're going to talk about outcomes that you've had in another field that you can bring here. And then we're going to talk about the type of person that you are. Remember, people buy from people, people work with people. Essentially, when someone interviews you, they're asking themselves, can I work with this person? Will they fit in with our culture? They're not asking, do they have a computer science degree? They're really thinking, can you do the job? And are you going to fit in with everybody else? Because people work with other people. So we're going to do the SEAT method right now, and I want you to go along with me. So let's start with S. I want you to write down the strengths that you bring to a cybersecurity team. I'll give you some examples here to help you. So here are some examples. I want you to write 4 skills that you already have. So choose 4. You don't have to pick them from here. If you've got different skills that are not listed here, that's fine, but choose 4. Don't choose skills because they sound impressive. Choose skills that you actually demonstrated. I'll give you some examples. If you've been a teacher, you could write communication, training, planning, documentation. If you've worked in healthcare, you could write privacy, confidentiality, working under pressure, attention to detail. If you've worked in retail, you could say you're good at customer service, conflict resolution, sales, problem solving. If you've worked in admin, you could say you're good at organization, you're good at documentation, scheduling, communication. So I want you to write 4 skills from whatever industry you're coming from, whatever you've been doing. And then the next thing I want you to do is write down what qualifies you. So here they're asking what qualifies you for a role or to get into that job that we've just talked about. So this is where you put any internships that you've done. This is where you put any diplomas. Even if they're not related to cybersecurity, please write them down. Any volunteer work that you've done, so if you end up working with us for one of our programs, we will definitely encourage you to volunteer. Ebony, I cannot wait to stay in touch with you. SK, great problem solving, documentation, planning, collaboration, love it. So please put in whatever you've got that you've done. So any training, any degrees, any diplomas, certificate, projects that you've done, your current job, put it in there. So I'll give you an example. So we have what's called a cybersecurity accelerator. So that could be something that you would list here. So I would say something like, I recently completed a cybersecurity accelerator focused on GRC, cloud security, incident response, and governance. If you haven't done anything like that, but you've been working in, say, customer service, you could say, I've spent 8 years working in customer service, blah, 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 blah. Because remember, and that still sounds good, even for a cybersecurity role, because we all know you still need customer service in cybersecurity. So don't apologize for changing careers. You really have to own it. And that's E. So the next one is A. Here we want to find one achievement. I want you to think of one achievement that you're proud of. So it could be you trained staff. I'll teach you how to say it in a nice way. But let's say you train staff. You can say you can be more specific. I trained 40 employees and we improved our onboarding process. Or if you're answering calls, you could say you collected customer feedback. If you were doing admin, you could say you introduced a new filing process. Every career has achievements. Every single career has achievements. Think of something. What happened because of you? What achievements did you have in your current job or your last job? They don't have to be huge. Small improvements count. So did you help customers? Did you improve a process? Did you save time or train someone or reduce mistakes or increase sales? Maybe you organized something, you led something. I want you to think of one achievement that you can write down. And what we're going to do is relate it to the job that you're looking for. You chose a job that you're looking for. We're going to relate it back to that. And then finally, people hire other people. So everybody always wants to know the type of person that you are at work. This is going to get you the job. So choose 3 words here that describe who you are at work. So are you curious? Are you reliable, positive, calm, professional, adaptable, resilient, collaborative? What talks about who you are at work? So if you choose 3 here, think about what people who've worked with you would say. So that's always a good one, a good way to think of it. Like, if I were to ask people who've worked with you, what would they say? Worked with stakeholders to resolve issues, reliable, adaptable, resilient. Yep. Ebony's worked with customer-facing roles for several years. Great. Worked on lean project. See, you've already got it. You're actually explaining it in really great detail there. You've got, someone's got a bachelor's degree. Okay. Scrum Master certificate. So you already have some of this. We just need to position it. That's all. Great. Okay, so now put it together. So I want you to say, hi, my name is Kimberly Simon. Throughout my career, I've developed strong skills in, choose the 4 skills that you've just chosen. And then recently I have, and then talk about the achievements that you have. So, your degree, your program, your volunteering, whatever you've done. And then one achievement I'm particularly proud of is the name that. And then I am someone who enjoys this, this, and this. That's what attracted me to cybersecurity, because then you put the role that you want. So let's pretend that I want to be a cybersecurity analyst. So I'm going to give you a second here to put it together for yourselves. So, but there's ways that we, because of time, we can't really get into it. But this is just, you've got skeletons that you can really work with here. So if you say one of your skills was communication skills, right? Instead of saying I have good communication skills, you could say I've built strong communication skills by working with customers, executives, and cross-functional teams. We can really work with you there. And instead of saying I like cybersecurity, you can say I'm passionate about helping organizations reduce risk. So there's ways that you can make it sound better, but you definitely have a skeleton here that you can use as a draft. So let's pretend that I wanted to be a cybersecurity analyst and I filled this in. Let's look at my example. So this is seat. So the first paragraph is the S, the skills. Then it's E, the experience, A, the achievement, T, the type of person I am, and then the role that I'm trying to get into. So, hi, my name is Kimberly Simon. Throughout my career, I've developed strong skills in, I talk about communication, stakeholder engagement. So I talked about the skills that I have. You insert yours. More recently, I've applied those skills to cybersecurity and then I talk about this program that I'm running. Okay. And then one achievement I'm particularly proud of is building the upskilling program. So one achievement, whatever you listed there. And then finally, the type of person I am someone who enjoys continuous learning, building relationships, and helping organizations reduce risk. That's why I'm excited to pursue a cybersecurity analyst role. Do you see how all of this just came together? So you started out by thinking about your skills and then where you fit in terms of what role could you potentially get into based on your experience and your interests. We looked at what that role works like, how much do they pay, do you work from home? And then we looked at how you would build yourself up in terms of translating your experience to be more attractive to work in that role. How many of you actually did this and found it useful? Please answer in the Q&A. Okay, I see Tierney, Finance Director, Leadership Investigation. Okay, bachelor's degree. Worked in customer-facing roles. Great. Worked with stakeholders to resolve issues. Reliable, adaptable, and resilient. Love that. Ethical, adaptable, collaborative, and resilient. Do you see how you can translate your current experience and fit it to the role that you chose at the beginning of this workshop? So now the question is not, can you do this? Because you know you can, right? So we've already addressed that. You know that you can totally transition. You've seen you not only from me, but I also played your video where other people are talking about transition happening. So you know you can transition into cybersecurity from whatever industry you're coming from. So that's not the question. The question here is, where will you be 6 months from now if you don't? If nothing changes, nothing changes. Someone said something to me, time is going to pass anyway. So 6 months from now is going to come. You may as well do something with it. So you may as well start something now so that 3 months from now you've moved along. Or, 6 months from now, you're somewhere completely different. So cybersecurity roles are growing and you are well positioned to actually take advantage of those opportunities. And I want to say this carefully because I've been there before. Doing nothing while waiting for the right opportunity is going to cost you more than you realize. Weeks turn into months, confidence drops, and it becomes harder to explain gaps, especially if you're not working right now. So it becomes harder to explain those gaps in your resume. So that being said, I want to tell you about the Cybersecurity Career Accelerator. I used that as an example a few times. So everything we've covered today is exactly where I wish that most career changes would start. Most people start their journey by picking a certification. That's not right. You should always start by figuring out where you fit. So if you don't know where you fit, then you don't know what to learn. You don't know what jobs to apply for. You don't know how to position yourself. You don't know how to position your resume. And that's where a lot of people, that's why actually today we spent time just identifying some of the roles. We've got what's called Role Finder. That's a story for a different day. But if you're interested, let me know, email me. We have what's called a Role Finder. It's an assessment that you take and then it recommends a job for you in cybersecurity. So if you want to take that, that's fine. But it seems like a lot of you already know where you would fit. So, Cybersecurity Accelerator is not a certification shortcut. It's not a technical boot camp. As I said, these are non-technical roles. It's not a learn to code course. It's a structured, guided pathway that prepares you to enter cybersecurity realistically. That's essentially what it does. So what we prepare you to do is we help you understand real cybersecurity roles, not just the titles. We identify where you fit based on your background and obviously the way you want to work. And then we help you build cybersecurity foundations. So we teach you the foundations. And then we speak cybersecurity in plain business language until you understand it. And then we help you translate your experience and we explain risk, policy, incidents, all of those things for you. And then what we're helping you build is portfolio artifacts. Do you know a lot of the biggest problem with people who are transitioning is actually confidence. If you've never seen it and you've never done it, it's very hard for you to interview for a job. So if you go and take any course right now, but then you're not looking at a real policy, like a real world policy, or no one logs into AWS, for example, and shows you what the cloud looks like. It's just like, oh, I've learned it, but I've never seen it. So you won't have that confidence. So that's one thing that I know we definitely pride ourselves on, helping you build real artifacts. Like you are going to do a risk assessment. You are going to write a policy. You are going to do an incident response plan. All of that are things that you can then confidently speak to in an interview. So how it works is that it's one evening per week, so 90 minutes. We have an optional office hour where, let's say, you want extra support, you can come in an hour before the class. And then during the week, you will have homework. So every week there's homework, and you can typically put in up to 2 hours a week and get the homework done. There's clear instructions, there's support, and there's no guessing. So you're essentially learning one evening per week. You're learning with other people who are also transitioning. So you're not doing this by yourself. One thing I will say is people love the community. So just logging in and going through the journey with other people is amazing. This program is for people who are changing careers or restarting, people who don't have a technical background, people who want stability in a growing field. And if you're tired of guessing and you want guidance and you want community, this is definitely for you. And obviously, if today's workshop gave you clarity, the cybersecurity accelerator is where we turn that clarity into a transition plan. So our September cohort is now open and would love to help you take the next step. So here's what it looks like. There's two options. You can do the 8-week core program or the 12-week. So 8 weeks, we teach you the foundations, we get you ready for a job, and essentially you do your own resume, you figure it out. You can, you can now position yourself and do that. Now the 12 weeks includes everything in the 8-week. But it also includes private coaching. It includes resume and LinkedIn optimization. This really is around getting you into that cybersecurity role. So we're doing mock interviews with you. We're doing strategy and job search guidance with you and all of that good stuff. I am curious to learn as you think through this, and I know a lot of you have been wanting to move into cybersecurity. When you've looked at cybersecurity programs, or boot camps, how much have they costed? Just curious if somebody wants to just put it in the chat. I'm just checking the chat. How much have you seen them cost? Just curious. Oh, Ebony, yes, if you want to take the assessment, I am happy to give that to you for free. I'll give you a code that you can use. My email is Kimberly@Growth Office Partners, or I'm going to send you the recording anyway. Just send me an email and say, hey, I want to take the assessment, and I can definitely give you that. It's just help. It will recommend a role for you. Anybody else want to put in what they think a cybersecurity boot camp or an accelerator would cost? Okay, so ours is not. It's somebody did put something. Let's see. I love to do this because lots. So typically, a boot camp costs about $10,000, like a cybersecurity boot camp. So we know that for a lot of people, this is not just a career decision, it's a financial one. So this program is intentionally priced to be accessible. We are not a $10,000 boot camp. We're a bridge to a cybersecurity role. So if you've looked into cybersecurity before, you've seen boot camps priced anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000. That's because your entry-level salary is a lot of, if somebody could train me to get something where I'm getting paid $70,000 a month, yeah, I could see why $70,000 a year. Oh, I speak that into your life, $70,000 a month. But, with the growth and the jobs that you do get access to, I could see why it would cost that. But ours is designed to be accessible. So the 8-week is only $2,800 and the 12-week is $4,997. So we have flexible payment options. We're not going to get into that. Again, you're learning part-time in the evening. So we typically log in on Tuesdays from 7 till 8:30. We have an office hour before 7, so 6 till 7. If you want extra support, that's for the 12-week program. And this is built for career changes, and it provides that practical experience, and it's focused on job readiness. So this program is different. It's not about turning you into an engineer. It's about helping you understand where you fit and build real-world confidence that will help you become job ready. So that is the investment that you would have to put in. And then our start dates, we only run 2 a year. So all of us that do this have day jobs. So we work in cybersecurity. That's why you want to learn. A lot of people who go to school to learn from their professors. Their professors have not worked in the field for years. They don't know how to look for a job. They don't know what's hiring. They don't know anything. So we all work in cybersecurity. Everybody that teaches these cohorts works in cybersecurity. We only run 2 a year, one in April and one in September. So we have our September one coming up. We have limited seating, obviously, because we review everybody's homework. It's all hands-on. So, and we're all talking. So it's not like you're watching a pre-recorded thing. It's actually live instruction. So we don't take loads and loads of people because of that. So if today has you interested in our cybersecurity career accelerator, please scan that. You can submit an application. It's not, it still has to be reviewed. We, have a call with you, make sure that you're the right fit and we're a right fit for you. And then we go from there. But yeah, if you are interested, please reserve your spot and we can always talk and see if it is a good move for you. I'm also sharing my email address for all those that want to ask me anything after. I'll stop here for questions. We have about 5 minutes. If you want to type in any questions, I will say add me on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm in your network now. Even if you're not going to take our accelerator program, if there's ever anything I can do to help you, please let me know. I'm always happy to help where I can. I certainly know that if I knew where you could help me, I would ask. So please don't be shy to ask. I'm in your network now. Okay. Yep, you would take the assessment. That sounds good. I will send that to you. Any questions? Okay, so we will review all the applications for the Career Accelerator for September. If you do not get into September, we put you on the wait list for April, and we certainly hope to help you get into cybersecurity. If you are interested in getting more information, let me know. We have testimonials from other people who've completed this. So yeah, would love to share any information that you need. I'm going to check one last time if there's any questions in here, and then I am going to let you go. I will send the recording. Yes, somebody asked me if I will send the recording. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Bye, everyone. Okay. Oh, thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you.